What is going on, everyone? So today is going to be a follow-up to last week's video. And last week I showed you how to import an Excel spreadsheet into Jupyter Notebook. So today I'm going to show you how to take that imported financial statement and we are going to just do some really basic graphs on the data. And we want to do this just so that we can get a visual representation of what our financial statements are telling us. So this is just very comparable to making a graph function on Excel. However, this time it is fully automated, so all you have to do is just plug in your financial statements and the graph will just appear for you. There is no excess clicking like you'd have to do in Excel. So hopefully this will save you some time, and just like last week, the code to this section is in the comments, so if you want it, check it out and use it. All right, everyone, let's jump into Jupyter. Okay, so here is all the code from last week, and I did kind of clean it up some to make it just a little bit more simplified, but I just want to show you that was all of last week's stuff. So this week we'll be making graphs just like this, just kind of like this, very, very simple graphs. So here we are at part 2, making simple graphs. So to do graphing with Jupyter Notebook, we are going to download Chart Studio. So this is going to be the code right here. You only need to really install it once and then it is just fine. So it is just that exclamation mark pip install Chart Studio, and then that's just me writing a little note. And then you will import Chart Studio, and then you will have to put in your credentials with Chart Studio because you need an account. And the code is going to look just like this Chart Studio input tools, credentials, file username, you'll put that in and your own API tools, and then import plotly.graphObjects as go. So that is all good, but the question that you probably have is, all right, how do I get an account with Chart Studio? How do I get all this stuff? So let me show you the steps to getting to that. So to get to Plotly, first thing you do is just do Chart Studio Plotly. After that, you're going to come over here and click this link, Getting Started with Chart Studio. Then it is going to take you to this page, and as you can see, Getting Started with Chart Studio in Python. Here is the installation, and this is the code that I told you to do, the pip install Chart Studio. So all you'd have to do is just plug that in. Again, just follow the code that I left for you guys. But to get that free account, to use Plotly, to get that API key, you go right here to initialization for online plotting, and you click this free account link right here. Then you just make an account, you get the API key, and then you are good to go to put in your username and API key, and then you'll be able to run this code. So that is all good. So you have everything downloaded that you need. The next thing that we need to do is that we need to transpose our data to a usable format. So what do I mean by this? Well, if I come right here and I run just the profit loss statement like we have, as we can see, this is kind of what the format looks like, where we have this nice clean fiscal year 11, 12, 13, we have it kind of in the financial statement forms that we tend to use to reading. However, when we're graphing, we cannot use this format. We actually need to flip around the years and the revenue, cost revenue, these kind of things. We got to flip them around. So that's what this first code is doing, is I'm doing a transpose. So dfpl equals df_pl.t, and what that does is it flips them around. And then I also just rename the files just because it's easier to type out is, bs, cf instead of the df_pl. And just to show you what that new format looks like, there it is. As you can see now, revenue, cost of goods sold. See how it's just kind of transposed, the axes are flipped. So nothing really too difficult right here, still pretty straightforward. So next thing that we need to do is make our first graph. So I'm going to show you how to make just a very simple bar chart like this, and a very simple line chart. And the great thing about Plotly is that they have a library that is very easy for us to use and to get all the code. So let me show you how to get to that first. So all we need to go to is just the Plotly graphing libraries, and they have all of these different charts. So I'm just going to go into, we'll just look at the basic bar chart here, and they have all the code that you need to just make a very simple chart. So I'm going to go here to the basic bar chart with plotly.graphObjects. That's what I'm using. All I really did is just take in this code right here, figure go figure. I just took that in and I just replaced the X and the Y axis with my own data. It's that simple. As you can see, it looked exactly the same. So the code is figure equals go.Figure, data, and it's go.Bar, name. I just named this whole thing cash. This was just me playing around with it. The X axis is going to be the balance sheet.index, right? Fiscal year 11, 12, 13, 14. And the Y index I'm taking from the balance sheet, because I renamed these BS, long-term debt. So I'm just taking that long-term debt column wherever it is, and it's making a graph of the long-term debt. And it's always good practice when you're making a new code for something like this, just to make sure your chart looks similar to what it would be in Excel, just to kind of check yourself. So I'm going to go right here. Here's all the Excel data for what I'm doing. If I just go and highlight it, and I'm just going to insert a chart. There we go. There's my long-term debt. That looks exactly the same, so I know my code is good. And then the same thing for a line graph. I just went to that library, I copied and pasted the data and changed it. And here's the long-term debt. As you can see, it looks exactly the same, just in a line graph format. So that is the code of how to just get these simple financial statements. But I think the real strength in this that I want to show you guys is just how easy this is all to use. I don't know if you noticed, but with this data, I'm actually using an Oracle's financial statements. So here it is right here, Oracle yearly data. Last week I did Bank of America, and the only things that I needed to change between these codes to get all of it to run was just Oracle year. That was the only thing I had to change, and everything was automatic on its own. And I just want to show you also how easy it is by doing all this coding. This is our Bank of America code that we used last week. Here it is, just the same exact code from the figure, name, cash, BS.index. If you keep it all the same, all I did was just change the file that it's pulling, and here it is. This is the long-term debt of Bank of America, and here is that long-term debt of Oracle. All I did was just change which file's pulling, and because these are those standardized documents, these long-term debt, these variables are all named the same exact thing, so it just automatically runs. So if you want to just look at like long-term debt, cash, these different types of balance sheets or revenues, whatever it might be, you just need to make this code once and run it, and you can literally use it for, you know, any Excel file that you want, and it just makes the whole process very easy instead of having to go into each new Excel file and making the graphs themselves. But anyways guys, this is going to be just the end of looking at how to make these simple graphs. Next week I'll look at a little bit more complex graphs, and we'll just keep on building this series from there as I learn more code, and hopefully as you guys learn more code and ask questions. But I thank you all for watching this series. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will try to answer the best I can, and if you want this code, again, the part 2 code that I have in here is going to be just in the comments. If you want last week's code because you need to catch up, go to the video last week and pull it from there. All right, have a great rest of your week. Peace.